Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. My name's Tianan and today I'm going to be telling you guys about the 6 classics that I want to read in 2021. My relationships with classics is a weird one. I did read a couple in school, mainly more modern classics though, such as Of Mice and Men by John Steinbeck, but I've barely read any in my own personal time outside of academic settings. I definitely want to rectify that though, which is why I'm making this list. I feel like I'm at the point in my life now where I could sit down and read a classic and really appreciate it, whereas over the last few years I definitely wouldn't have been able to do that. I feel like I've developed as a reader. Last year especially, I sort of discovered what I like to read, and some of my all-time favourite books last year were The Hobbit and the Lord of the Rings trilogy by J.R.R. Tolkien. I'm only bringing this up because those works, and the Lord of the Rings in particular, are very long, dense adult fantasy, and I never used to think that I'd be able to comprehend what was going on, but since reading it last year I fell head over heels in love with it. I had read The Hobbit a few times before, and I had also read The Fellowship of the Ring, but I never carried on with the rest of the books in The Lord of the Rings. And by completing those set of books, I realised just how far I'd come in my reading, and I think it was at that point that I decided that I wanted to turn towards classics. Now, if you saw my bookshelf tour, you'll know that I do have quite a few classics on my shelves. Some of them I have read, the majority I haven't, and so this year I want to rectify that. I have chosen 6 classics that I want to get to this year, mainly because there are 12 months in a year, and that gives me 2 months leeway for each book. So if I can read one classic every 2 months, that would be absolutely perfect. That is my ideal situation, and it's how I'm kind of setting all of this out. But to be honest, these are in no particular order, so without further ado, I'm just going to dive in and show you the books. The first classic that I'm desperate to get to, and one that I've been really drawn towards recently, is The Great Gatsby by F. Scott Fitzgerald. I'm not going to lie to you guys, I've had this book for about 6 or 7 years. I bought it so long ago with the intention to dive straight in, and like I said, I just did not have the capacity to do so. I wasn't appreciative of the writing or of the story. I did start it, but I didn't get that far into it, and so I put it down and just completely forgot about it. Like I said though, recently I've been really drawn towards this book. It's been on my TBR cart now for a few months, and again, still haven't picked it up. But I think that the thing that finally made me want to pick up this book was Caitlin from Kate Literature's reading vlogs. If you don't know, this is her favourite book of all time, and recently she's been doing a buddy read with Chloe over at Books with Chloe, where they read The Great Gatsby, and she has recently uploaded a reading vlog of her going over this book, annotating it and sharing her thoughts. I did start watching it, but I did stop because I don't want to be spoiled for anything that happens in this book, and so I watched her spoiler-free weekly reading vlog where she does mention this once again. And yeah, the passion and the love that she has for this book is just mind-blowing, and I want to know what it's all about, so I feel like this is going to be one that I do pick up very, very soon, possibly in the next week or so. And I do have a weird urge to annotate it, which is something I rarely do, but we'll see what mood I'm in once I start reading this. Shockingly, I don't know anything about this book, so I will just read you the back. It says, generally considered to be F. Scott Fitzgerald's finest novel, The Great Gatsby is a consummate summary of the roaring 20s and a devastating expose of the jazz age. Through the narration of Nick Carraway, the reader is taken into the superficially glittering world of the mansions which lined the Long Island shore of the American seaboard in the 1920s, to encounter Nick's cousin Daisy, Jay Gatsby, and the dark mystery which surrounds him. The Great Gatsby is an undisputed classic of American literature from the period following the First World War, and is one of the great novels of the 20th century. I love learning about the 1920s. One of my favourite books is actually The Diviners by Libba Bray, which is set in the same time period, and it's just so fascinating to read about and to see how different everything was. I definitely feel like this isn't going to be a fluffy novel though. It's going to be quite dark and deal with some serious issues, but I am very excited to get to it, and you will probably see it pop up in one of my weekly reading vlogs soon. Next up we have Little Women by Louisa May Alcott. Now you will see that I have quite a few of these Penguin English Library editions. They are my favourite editions. They are so beautiful, they are floppy, and they are just absolutely gorgeous. This is another one that I was planning to get to last year, around the time when the film came out, but again I never got to it because this is quite chunky, and I'm not gonna lie, I felt pretty intimidated by it. Since then though, I've just heard so much hype, and I have serious FOMO, so I want to know what this is all about. I believe in this one we follow 4 sisters, Meg, Jo, Beth and Amy, who are all trying to find their place in the world. I don't really want to know more about this book, but I know that the girls experience adversity, hardship, joy and tragedy on their path to womanhood, and we follow that journey throughout this book. Like I said, a new adaptation of this book was recently released. It has some of my favourite female actors in it, so I definitely want to watch it soon, and so I want to get to this one so that I can watch the film as well. I think it'll be a really nice experience, and I am also planning on reading this closer towards summer because that's just the vibe that this book is giving off to me. Next up is one that I don't actually have a physical copy of, but it's another one that I'm planning to read closer towards the summertime, and that is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. This is another one that I know absolutely nothing about, and I feel very ashamed to say that. This is definitely one of the more popular classics, and once again I have serious FOMO. I do have the synopsis here on my phone, so I am just going to read that out to you. So it says, Pride and Prejudice is an 1813 romantic novel of manners written by Jane Austen. The novel follows the character development of Elizabeth Bennet, the dynamic protagonist of the book, who learns about the repercussions of hasty judgments and comes to appreciate the difference between superficial goodness and actual goodness. Its humour lies in its honest depiction of manners, education, marriage and money during the Regency era in Great Britain. That honestly sounds like something that is right up my street. It's another one that I've been meaning to get to for so long, but have been putting off purely because of the fact that it is a classic. Next up we have another modern classic, and that is Rebecca by Daphne du Maurier. I have heard nothing but amazing things about this book. Again, it's one that I've wanted to get to for so long, but around the time that I'd want to read this, which is from I'd say about August onwards, other books have always taken priority, and I'm really ashamed about that. I also feel like because there's so much love for this book, I'm kind of scared to dive into it in case it doesn't live up to the hype for me. I'm sure it will, but there's always something in the back of my mind that stops me from picking up certain books because of how much hype they have, so I'm really hoping that I can get over that and tackle this one soon. This is another one that Caitlin from Kate Literature recently read and loved. I did watch the vlog of her reading this recently, and once again that did inspire me to want to pick this up straight away, but I am restraining myself because if I pick it up now when I'm not fully in the mood for it, I just won't enjoy it as much. I definitely want to invest my time in this book because, like I said, I feel like it is one that I will really enjoy. But in this one we follow a girl who falls in love with a wealthy widower whilst on a trip to the south of France. But when they arrive at his mansion, a change comes over Max, and it seems like the phantom of his beautiful first wife Rebecca is all around her. So yeah, this is a dark gothic tale that I feel like I'm just gonna fall absolutely head over heels in love with, and I cannot wait for the day when I actually decide to pick this one up. Next up we have The Picture of Dorian Gray by Oscar Wilde. I feel like out of all the classics, this one is the one that intrigued me the most. I feel like it's also the first ever Penguin English Library edition that I bought because it was just one that stood out to me in every aspect, and again it's just another one that I've heard amazing things about. For this one it says, a story of evil, debauchery and scandal, Oscar Wilde's only novel tells of Dorian Gray, a beautiful yet corrupt man. When he wishes that a perfect portrait of himself could bear the signs of aging in his place, the picture becomes his hideous secret, as it follows Dorian's own downward spiral into cruelty and depravity. The Picture of Dorian Gray is a masterpiece of the evil in men's hearts and is as controversial and alluring as Wilde himself. This just sounds absolutely fascinating to me. I believe that this was a very scandalous book when it was first published, and I just want to experience this for myself. I feel like it's one that I'm going to absolutely love, and just another one that I cannot wait to get to. And then lastly we have Dr. Jekyll and Mr Hyde by Robert Louis Stevenson. This is another one that absolutely fascinates me. You hear Dr. Jekyll and Mr Hyde referenced all the time in pop culture, and I thought it was about time that I dove into the classic novel. Again, one that I don't really know anything about, only what I've heard through other people, so once again I'm going to read you the synopsis. I bet you're sick of that right now, but I'm just clueless. But it says, published as The Shilling Shocker in 1886, Robert Louis Stevenson's dark psychological fantasy gave birth to the popular idea of the split personality. Set in a hellish fog-bound London, the story of outwardly respectable Dr. Jekyll, who unleashes his deepest cruelties and most murderous instincts when he is transformed into sinister Edward Hyde, is a gothic masterpiece and a chilling exploration of humanity's basest capacity for evil. What more could I say about this book? I feel like that is just everything I need to be completely intrigued by this book. I do definitely want to read this towards Halloween time. I read Frankenstein during October last year and absolutely loved it, and I feel like this will just have the perfect dark and creepy setting for October. So those were the 6 classics that I'm planning on reading this month. Please let me know if you read any of these books down in the comments, and also your general thoughts on them, if you think I'll enjoy them, if you enjoyed them. I would love to know. But that is the end of today's video, guys. Thank you so much for watching. Don't forget to click the like button if you like this video and the subscribe button if you like to see more content from me. Thank you so much for watching. It truly does mean the world to me, and I will see you soon in my next video. Goodbye!